Hey there! I'm so excited about this podcast episode. First of all, welcome to the Blooming Podcast. I'm Annabelle Ingleton. I'm your host. If you're watching this on YouTube, you are watching the fun video version of this podcast. I interviewed the amazing Elodie. Elodie is the creator and coach at Perfect Pregnancy Mindset. She is a subconscious coach that helps women prepare for their pregnancy, labor, and delivery. And she also helps you prevent any type of stressful response or experience in your pregnancy. She also helps you heal from the effects of a past difficult pregnancy, labor, or delivery. A lot of people don't realize that they're walking around with the effects of stressful past pregnancy, labor, or delivery, because it's not only important for you, but it's also to help your baby. Because if you have a stressful or traumatic pregnancy, your baby inherits that too, and your baby inherits that pain. So it's really, really important to be a proactive mom and have the help with a coach like Elodie. So if you know somebody that's pregnant or planning to be pregnant and they could benefit from this podcast, please share it with them. If you like it, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow Elodie. All the links are below her Instagram page. That's how you can find her and reach her. And if you do, let her know that you came from the Blooming Podcast because you'll get 10% off her services. I mean, you can't beat that. It's a win-win, right? So I hope you enjoy the podcast and I'll see you next week. Keep on watching. All right, guys, welcome to another episode of the Blooming Podcast. This is an episode is like a long time in the making. I'm so excited to bring it to you guys. If you clicked on the title on YouTube or on the podcast, you're seeing that I have a guest on the show. And this is the first of many, many, many guests that I'm going to be bringing to you guys. And I'm so excited about it. So let me explain to you what's going on here. I am really focused on creating a space in the world that provides so much knowledge and information and tips and tools on all things healing and changing your behavior, right? So changing your thoughts, changing your emotions, being able to control all that stuff and changing your life ultimately, because that's my intention. And I know certain things about certain things, but I don't know everything. And I know that. And I know that there's amazing coaches, entrepreneurs, products, and services out there that can help you with the particular problem that you're going through. And because of that, I have been working on interviewing some of the best coaches, entrepreneurs that have products and services that are going to help you heal or change the behavior or help you complete the task or meet the goal that you've been wanting to do or solve the problem that you have in a particular area of your life. So look forward to many, many episodes like this. Could not be more excited. All right, guys. So speaking of which, I have a really special guest today. So we're going to be talking with, and she's already here. She's been listening to me do this fun intro. Her name is Elodie. And Elodie and I met on Instagram. And when I found out what she did and who she's helping and what she's helping them with, it blew my mind. And I was like, she needs to be on the podcast immediately. This is such a great service that is never discussed. And I know it's not discussed because I've had clients that I've had to work with on this particular issue in my one-on-one coaching. And when I worked with them on it, it was so transformational. And when I saw that this is a specific problem that she's helping women with that is really, really like intentional and specific, I could not wait to have her on here. So Elodie you can find her on Instagram and you can find her by the handle of Perfect Pregnancy Mindset. I'll let her introduce herself and just tell you guys what she's doing. So Elodie, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Annabelle. I'm so grateful to be here. That's amazing.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time. You guys, Elodie lives very far away. She's international and she is overseas in Europe. I'm so thankful that our schedules were able to align so she can talk to you guys and share all the good things. So Elodie, take a minute to tell all the listeners who you are, where you're from, what you do, and how you help them.
Okay, very good. Thank you. So I'm from France. Actually, you can tell by my accent. I live in Spain. I'm a mom of 3. I work school my children, and I want to create a change, one pregnant woman at a time, because I am a subconscious birth coach. That's what I am. So I want to help, and I help pregnant women get over their fears, negative beliefs, and sometimes we talk about trauma. Not all the time, but we do. I want them to be able to experience their easiest, smoothest, and healthiest delivery ever, because that's what I had. And so I just want to share.
That is, I have to say, Elodie, I don't think people understand how great of a resource you are, because I have had experiences with clients themselves that when they came to me, they not only did they not realize that they were living with the effects of trauma, but they were living with the effects of a birth that was really difficult, that created long-term effects 10, 15, 20 years down the road. I mean, I had a client whose son was like 20 something, and she had so much trauma around it. And we were working to heal it when it could have been prevented if she worked with someone like you. So I got so excited that you were doing this work. So I'm so excited that you offer it. So tell me a little bit about the women that you work with. Like, what are they coming to you with? What's their problem? And what are you helping them with specifically?
Oh, very good. So I work with pregnant women who experience a past traumatizing childbirth. So it could be like a stillbirth or loss, or it could be, like maybe not feeling heard by the medical assistants, whatever they were, like doctors, surgeons, whatever, when you don't feel heard, when you don't feel heard, then you can experience trauma, it. So that's what I do. And I want them to feel free before they give birth again. That's one type of pregnant woman I work with. The other type is the first time moms to be. So they haven't experienced trauma from birth, but what we find is that they have experienced past traumatizing or past negative events that will affect their upcoming delivery.
What are some things that they've experienced in the past that tend to inform their fear of their labor and their delivery?
Well, for example, we even last night I was watching a movie and I saw the scene was at the hospital and the woman was crying. This is the norm, women screaming, giving birth. It's like pain. When you think about delivering a baby, you think suffering, pain, you think tear, you think horrible physical things, but it doesn't have to be.
So a lot of them they're just like coming up with that makes sense. A lot of them, I think, watch movies because we see scenes, right, on movies, even movies alone, whatever we're subjected to. If we see movies, if you hear horror stories from your friends, from your mom, from your family, from right, social media, anything, and they're like, it was so horrible and I needed to do this, then they're like, what the F have I gotten myself into? Even though they want a baby, the process to have the baby is, listen, you have 9 months of carrying a child. A lot of things can happen in 9 months, not to mention the labor and not to mention the delivery. Three really different parts of their lives that are kind of long and could be really long and could be painful. So they come into it with like these like preconceived ideas. Yeah.
Of course. And people love to past pregnant women, they love to share horrible suffering childbirth. It's like, can't you just share something else with me? No, they have to share because they've suffered. So they want people to listen to them. So that's where I come from before it happens. Or if it happened, then before the next delivery, right? It's like, you don't have to stay in your suffering, in your negative beliefs. Yeah.
Yes, I agree. People like, I know women mean well, like we're trying to tell our stories, right? And tell the women, don't do this, don't do that, or this was so bad. But we don't realize, like, I call them legacy burdens, right? You probably have heard me say this. We share an experience with someone that it was a burden on yourself. And now you basically like give it to the other person by telling them the story, but then they inherit it now they start carrying it and it becomes a part of their belief system. And we gotta be really careful about what we're sharing. If you're sharing it for informational purposes, I get it. Right. But at the same time, it's like, can you give them also a tip on how to like not do it, right? Like you want to don't just share the bad stuff. Like what helped you? Okay, I got an epidural. I got a coach. I got a doula. I got hired a coach like Elodie, right? So it makes sense. Like let's follow it up with the thing that can be helpful, not just the scary story. So they could see that there's relief on the other end.
Exactly. And also there is the medical world. So it could be like midwives or doctors or OBGYN, anyone from the medical world putting a lot of pressure on these pregnant women, like they don't have any choice. For example, oh, you've had a C-section, then
Mm-hmm.
you don't have a choice. You're just gonna have another one. It's not for you in natural deliveries. No, you have a choice.
Yeah, that's so true. I've had friends have had VBAC. Is that what they're called? VBACs, like
Yeah,
vaginal birth
yes,
after C-section,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
And they've been perfectly fine. And I've been so
Mhm.
impressed. Like, wow, you did it. It's possible. That's like, it's like
Yes.
that story. Have you heard of like the 4-minute mile story, Elodie?
Oh,
So there's a story about like no one had ever run a 4-minute mile. Like it had just never been done until one marathon runner or whatever, whoever he was, did it. And once one person did it, it was everyone. There was like so many people that did it right after, but there needed to be somebody that showed the example that it was possible. And
yes.
so like, I think an episode like this, right? Just even sharing with people that it is possible to have a really calm, peaceful, somewhat painless and focused and beautiful childbirth. It really can happen. And I have heard experiences like that. So Elodie, what is it? What's the type of coaching that you do with them, or what's the method that you use to help people get over that and heal
Okay.
or avoid
So
the childbirth, the painful childbirth?
yes, of course. So it's a two-step process.
Mm-hmm.
So first, with each woman, we first work on the past and we analyze what's affecting them today. We connect the dots, and we release all the negative emotions from the past. Because we must understand that trapped emotions come from past experiences that we haven't like processed, and they still take a toll on us, right? So
Yep.
both physically and also emotionally, like feeling, afraid, blue, or like depressed. So that's the first step. The second step is we focus our work on creating a different positive outcome, because women come to me because they want to live a beautiful, smooth, and healthy delivery. So when we think about delivering a baby, like I said before, we usually have like very negative, terrifying thoughts about it. But I can assure all the women listening to us right now that you can have a positive, memorable, positive childbirth.
I agree. I totally agree. And I love the idea that you get people really clear on right now. What are your beliefs and your thoughts about childbirth? Okay, where did you get those? Let's get really clear about what created those beliefs, and then you work on them, and then you do your magic. So, what's the tool or modality that you're using with women to do that?
Yeah, so I use three tools. So I use an energy-based therapy called Emotion Code. I use an interactive healing process called Psyche, and I also use meditation. So the first one, Emotion Code, it's a technique developed by Dr. Bradley Nelson. He's a chiropractor over 20 years of experience. So I'm sure all the pregnant women listening to us right now can testify that chiropractors are a lifesaver, and they can. But this chiropractor, he kept seeing, his clients over and over again. That's when he understood that he needed to find the root causes of their pain, because we don't want our clients to come back. We don't want them to depend on us, right? We want them to be free.
Yep, totally. And I know about Emotion Code. I actually literally have the book right there on my desk, which is so funny. I've experienced Emotion Code. I hired an Emotion Code facilitator, and she helped me so much. And she's actually coming on the podcast too to talk just about Emotion Code. But I love that you're talking about it. So Emotion Code it's what it works on, if I'm correct, and correct me if I'm wrong, is it works on trapped emotions, because like we said before, past experiences that aren't processed correctly with the whole brain, they get trapped in your brain and your nervous system. And now you're operating from that emotion that's stuck, and they get stuck anywhere in your body. We never know where. It gets stuck in your head, in your shoulder, in your chest, in your stomach, and you're like literally everywhere. And when those emotions get trapped there, what happens is they can grow that stuck emotion literally can create inflammation. It can create pain. And that's what Dr. Bradley Nelson is what kind of he figured out, right? That's when he found out that it was trapped emotions. And when they released it, that's what helped people heal, right?
Exactly.
Okay, cool. So you help them with that modality, which is a modality that I freaking love. You guys, I've actually had this done. Can I share what happened with me?
Of course.
Elodie, so people can understand. Like, I would love for you to share yours too. So I had this really, and I've never shared this before, and I've shared this with my clients, but I've never shared it publicly. Which is so interesting because and this is like the perfect topic. I was 6 months pregnant with my daughter, Penelope, with my youngest. And my husband and I and our family lived in a community where we had an upstairs neighbor. And one night in the middle of the night, we woke up, we're awoken to loud banging and screaming. And our neighbor, I could hear her screaming like, "Don't hurt me, please don't hurt my baby." She had a 1-month-old baby. Somebody was breaking into their house basically and was going to hurt her and her child. And I heard it all. And what it did is it put me into like crazy survival state response because it terrified me, mostly because it reminded me and it triggered a past memory when I was a little girl, when I would wake up in the middle of the night to my dad beating my mom and my mom screaming and crying. And I freaked the F out. I ran and grabbed my young Juliet and Alyssa, my other daughters, grabbed them and put them in, like, we had a big walk-in closet. So we like hid in there. And my husband was looking at me like, "What are you doing? This is the neighbors thing." And I was like, "We're going to die." I literally thought I was going to freaking die. I was like, that's one of the most scariest moments I've ever experienced my entire life. And I've experienced some crazy stuff. And we had to call the cops. Basically we think their husband or that they were involved in some illegal activity where people were coming to like get her husband. He wasn't there. And instead they attacked her. And it was this hours and hours of a drawn out process of like, just a lot of fear. And that was it. I wiped it away. I just like went on with my life, had my baby and everything. But I noticed as the years went by after Penelope was born, she has this thing where whenever she would hear a loud noise, specifically when we would go to public restrooms and I'd go in there with her to help her go potty, when I would flush the toilet, you know how public restrooms are very loud? Like they're like, whoosh. Some of them are really, really loud. I don't know if you've experienced that, Elodie. I don't know if in Europe it's the same. And she would grab her ears and go, "Oh," like she would freak out every time I'd flush the toilet, or whenever we'd be home and something loud would happen. And I would think, why is she freaking out over a loud noise? It wasn't that loud of a thing. And it didn't seem normal. And because of what I know, I was like, I'm just going to get curious about this. Like, let me just watch her and notice if this continues. And it's continued for years. So finally, one day we're in the living room, like playing on a puzzle. And she said, "Mommy, I remember this one time when she literally said this, you guys, when I was in your tummy, there was loud noises and you got really scared and you ran away."
Of course.
You guys.
Yeah.
Elodie, how crazy is that, right? And
it sounds crazy, but it's normal.
It is. It sounds crazy, but you guys, trauma is inherited. Like if you have a baby in your stomach, whatever you felt, your child feels it. Okay. And I stopped and I was like, "Shh, oh my God, she remembers that experience. How did I not put that together?" Like I just, when you're a parent, sometimes you have we have blocks, right? And how beautiful that she remembered. And so I told her, "Tell me what you remember." And she basically remembers like, there was loud banging. People were trying to hurt somebody. She thought it was me. She thought I was hurt. And I said, "Mama, it wasn't, it was a neighbor." And I told her what happened. And she's like, "Oh, okay." The next day I reached out to my friend and I said, I need to schedule an emotion code session, because what emotion code does is it will, you guys, whatever y'all could think we're woo woo and crazy. I don't care.
Okay.
It works. And it worked with me and so many other great things. Okay. So we did a psyche session. She wiped out the via surrogation or by proxy. I don't know how you guys call it, but proxy, she wiped it out from my nervous system and she wiped it out from Penelope's. And I've never seen her scared again from a loud sound. Yes. And it helped me process like the memory. I did psyche on myself because that's a modality that I'm trained in. And I know you're trained in too, Elodie, and it helped me process it, and it helped her. She doesn't get scared of that anymore and of loud sounds. But when you're pregnant, you guys, if you experience a traumatic or scary or really heightened survival state experience, you do pass it on to if you have it stuck in your emotions, so does your babies.
Yeah.
And we're not trying to scare you. This isn't,
No
I'm not,
pressure.
yeah, the body, like you guys have heard of, I forget, Dr. Bethel Vanderkolk, is that his name? The body keeps the score and it remembers all the things that happened. And your baby's body, because it's being formed in yours, will inherit that pain as well. Penelope, if this isn't proof, I don't know what to tell y'all. It's true. And
Yes.
so is this something that you help people to, or do you help them with too, Elodie? Like if they experience something during their pregnancy?
Of course, yes. And also for me personally, I had 3 children, and the first childbirth was very traumatic. It was very painful. The delivery itself, the labor, everything was very, so I hurt myself because I didn't trust myself. I kept listening to the midwife that I had and the doctors. So I kept, pushing and pushing. So I hurt myself a lot. And even years after.
When you say hurt yourself, do you mean physically, like you tore and things like that?
Yes, you're right. Yeah, physically. Okay. I hurt myself physically because you keep pushing, all the tissues and everything. It's like, it's like, oh, it's horrible. So even years after, I still felt physical pain. Like it's like on my stomach,
Yes.
It was like hurt. I couldn't go for like a long walk. I couldn't run. It was like affecting my day-to-day life and what I wanted to do. So I learned emotion code first. I'm going to talk about psyche after, but I learned emotion code first. And I did that even like more than even like 6 years after. So I did a lot of like emotion release and it worked. And now I don't feel any pain. Wow. And it's amazing. It sounds like, oh, that's too easy. I used to think that before. That sounds way too easy, but it is. And it works.
It is that easy, and it does work. And we tend to the brain just tends to complicate things, guys. We think that healing can be difficult, and it doesn't have to be. I promise you, there are some modalities that get to access the pain or the memory or the trauma in your system very quickly. Psyche and emotion code are those types of modalities that do that. They work quickly. They work directly on the memory and the physical emotion or the illness or whatever that came from it, right? And it does work quickly, because when you activate the actual thing, all you need to do is process it and then give it something, sometimes just the processing alone, right, is the thing that helps it heal.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. So you've used it on the after effects from your pregnancy as well, and it's helped you.
Yes, even years after, and it's affecting my life right now. So that's great. I'm happy.
Yes, that's so awesome.
And I also help a lot of like my children, because of course my daughter. So my first child is a girl. So my daughter, I was affected by her birth. So of course she was too, because she was there with me.
Yes.
I to help her, and isn't that amazing for a parent to be able to help, their children, and even like years later. And she's such a calm and she's in her, like, she's very creative. And before she used to be like, she had anxiety, and I really didn't know where it came from. And now it's like she gets into her own thing and she feels peaceful, and I want her to be peaceful.
Of course. I mean, if this is why we have children, right? We want to provide, this is the reason why ultimately, but when you have children, you want the best for them. And a lot of times indirectly and completely unintentionally, you don't realize that the experiences that you have as a parent, especially when you're pregnant, will affect your baby, whether it's during the pregnancy or during childbirth and during delivery. You have to be really conscious that if it was traumatic for you, just by association, your child is living with the effects of it as well. So you do want to look at not only yourself as the mother, but now if you understand, oh, wow, some of the things that I experienced in my labor, my pregnancy, my delivery were really scary for me. Let's look at that baby, look at your beautiful child and say, are they not functioning in the world probably to their highest capacity. And I promise you, there's probably effects, not even problem. There's effects from the trauma. There's effects from that experience that emotion code can help with. So is that that's what you did? Did you do it by proxy? Like, did you do it on yourself, on your child? Is that how you do it?
Exactly. Yeah, I did
Yeah.
that, of course. And
Okay.
also I was thinking also, so my middle child, his childbirth was a lot smoother. It was much better because I got into, I was just much more calm, and I had everything I wanted around me. I was surrounded by the right people and everything. But after he was born, so he's a little guy, after he was born, I got very weak. I was so tired. I couldn't take care of him. So instead of doing, the skin to skin thing that you're supposed to do because it's great for both the mom and the baby, I didn't do that. So my husband took care of him, which is great. But I realized he was not feeling as calm with me. He was always asking for my husband, so his dad, because he was the one who took care of him after that. And with me, he didn't feel secure. And I'm like, what the heck?
You were kind of like not a stranger by any means, but he learned,
bit,
he attuned to your husband instead of
like what happened to my mom. Exactly. So I got out in the world and my dad, that's it.
Yeah.
So
So what did you do? What did you do with him to help him with that?
So with him, so I did a lot of emotion code sessions on him, and now I can tell that now he's 4 years old. So, and I worked on him for because maybe 2 or 3 years later, so you can still work on this trauma years later. You have to have hope. It's important.
For sure.
It's important to understand that. So for him now, I can tell that his acts and the way he is in day-to-day life, that he feels as secure with me than his dad, and that means the world to me because I want that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I never considered that or thinking that, because he was spent more time with dad, that he wouldn't be as connected with you, and but if he has access to both of you guys, you want him to feel comfortable with both of you guys, not just one, because then it puts a lot of strain and dependency on dad. Whereas what if dad has to go to work? You need to be with him. Now he's not comfortable with you, right? Exactly. And vice versa. What if you got sick? What if your child is really dependent on you as a mother and you got sick and now they don't even want to be with their dad, but you need to rest. You don't have the emotional capacity or physical capacity, right?
Exactly.
That's so awesome.
Now he's free. He's free to choose, and he's free he doesn't have this burden anymore.
Yes. Man, that's so powerful. Oh, I love this. This is so good. And then, okay, so let's talk about how you use Psyche with women and what this modality is. And listen, I talk about Psyche a lot on this podcast. If you're a long-time listener, then you've heard me talk about it, but there's probably some people here who have never heard about Psyche, what it is, how it works. So let's kind of dig into that. Let's kind of explain that first. And then,
all right,
I want to know how you got into Psyche, because I think it's a great story for people to hear about it.
Yes, let's learn about it. So Psyche, and it's an interactive healing process. By interactive, I mean that I do it not for you, but I do it with you. It's very important. So it's a process used to change limiting beliefs, limiting subconscious beliefs, things that we are not even aware, So this guy, Rob Williams, he's the originator of Psyche. It's a very powerful technique. We call it reprogram the subconscious mind. People are like, what? Like, you want to reprogram me? Yeah, that's what it's called.
Yep.
And so this is what I use to not only work on your past trauma, but also create the positive change deep in your subconscious, okay? Because we must understand that a positive mindset doesn't, only just a positive mindset, oh, I'm positive, doesn't work in the long term. You know that.
Yep, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't, right? Because it's not integrated by the subconscious mind. This part of the brain that remembers literally everything since we were in our mother's womb.
Yes, I agree completely. Psyche is I love it. I've been a facilitator for many, many years. And I used to use it with my one-on-one clients in my program, Trauma to Triumph, which sadly isn't available anymore. But I've been able to heal phobia of dogs, process so much trauma. And the thing with your subconscious mind and your conscious mind, you have two minds. So your conscious mind is like your brain and the part of you that thinks and plans and decides and researches and analyzes and is very logical. And that's the part you use for a lot of the time. Actually, it's only 5% of the time of your day. And then there's your subconscious mind, which drives 95% of your behavior. Your subconscious mind holds your beliefs, and your beliefs create your thoughts. So whatever thought or mindset that you have, it is actually driven by your subconscious mind, which holds your beliefs. So if you notice that you have a bunch of negative thoughts and you do a bunch of negative things, I want you to consider that you probably have a lot of limiting or negative beliefs that are creating those thoughts. And you can try to change your thought for a minute, but guess what? It'll be gone in a second and you're going to go revert back to your beliefs. You have to work on those. And a lot of people don't realize it's just not spoken about. I don't know how Psyche is not well known in the world. It's literally my goal, Elodie, to make this modality so well known because it needs to be known. And it works. It actually helps you access your subconscious mind, access those limiting beliefs, look at them, understand that you have them, understand what caused them, what experiences you had that caused them, right? Reprocess them or reprogram them out. And then you can actually reprogram I call them unlimited beliefs that help you create an even healthier mindset. And it's funny because I just did 2 videos on this week with my video editor, and they're going to go out in a couple of days. So you're going to hear about it. But awesome. How did you, Elodie, I'm curious, how did you find out about Psyche?
Okay, so I have to say, so I learned about Psyche 4 years ago. My husband started learning about the subconscious and how it affects our day-to-day life. But at this time, I had just given birth to our second baby. And to tell you the truth, it sounded too easy. So I ignored it. I didn't know at the time, but I had limiting beliefs about healing. And to me, healing needed to be long and painful. So this is what my reality looked like, hard and painful, right? So I let it go. 2 years ago, I heard about Psyche again from you, actually.
I love that. You know what they say? There's this saying in Psyche, and I know you've heard it. Psyche finds you, right?
Yes, of course, it finds you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was in a very dark place again. I was anxious. I was stressed out. I was completely lost about the future. But at this time, I was looking for a solution. That's the difference. I was definitely looking for a solution. So I decided to become a certified practitioner because of you.
That's so great. And Elodie saying this because you guys, what's even crazier is Elodie found me or met me or heard of me, discovered me back in, I used to have a podcast show called Pregnancy Perfect in 2014 is when I launched it, or 2013, I want to say, I forget which year. And I loved it. I used to interview women on their 9-month pregnancy journey. You might be able to find it somewhere. I sold it after almost 2 years of having it. And some other woman, wonderful woman took it over, but then she stopped doing it, which is, I'm sad because a lot of the episodes are gone, but it was great. And so Elodie found me back then. I wasn't a Psyche practitioner or facilitator back then. I learned about Psyche in 2008, Elodie, forgot about it for 12 years or 11 years, and then found it again. Because of course it always finds you again. And I was like, this is what I need. It was the beginning of my healing journey, got it done on myself. And I was like, what the freak? This is the most amazing thing ever. Immediately, the next day, signed up for the courses and took them and got trained, and I've done them, and best modality I've ever had.
Yes, of course.
So amazing.
What I like, I think, for me, the emotion code and Psyche, they really make a great combination, because the first one creates a healed and relaxed body and mind, and Psyche takes over it. It makes a beautiful, long-lasting future.
I
So
agree.
for me, it's a great combo.
It is a great combo. I love emotion code. I never got trained in it or anything. I read the book and I tried it on myself a couple of times. So I know it works because I'm crazy like that. I'll always try stuff. So I know it works. But then I think it's great to work with someone, guys, who is trained and several tools in their toolbox. Don't you think? I use several different ones because depending on the person, things are layered and you need to have different tools, right? So I love that emotion code can help people with their past trapped stuff. And then Psyche does the same thing, but then it reprograms you with all the healthy, unlimited beliefs that you can have to support you with your pregnancy and things, right?
Yes.
That's so great.
So this leads us to meditation. I also use meditation to help women during labor, because when you integrate meditation during the pregnancy, you will grow accustomed to the music that I use and to my voice, and it will relax you. It will become like a relaxing tool to use during the pregnancy. But I'm also going to be here during the labor. I'm going to be there, guys, for you. Right?
with your audio, right? You mean like with the
Exactly,
meditations?
yeah.
That's so
audio,
great.
Exactly. With
I
the
love
audio,
that.
because you're gonna have the audio, and you can play it as many times as you need, because when you're relaxed, when your mind is relaxed, you have a relaxed body, and a relaxed body equals a smooth and healthy delivery.
Yep. I love that. You know what I did? I know that works, Elodie, meditation and preparing yourself and like visualizing the pregnancy that you want or the labor delivery that you want to, is because I had a surgery back in I don't know, early, like in the 2000s, I don't remember when. And I was terrified. And I never had surgery where I was like well, actually I did. I have breast implants. So I had that when I was younger, but as a mother, it scared me because I was like, I'm a mom. If something happens to me and I die, it was really stressing me out. And I knew, I was like, wait, I can control this. Like if I just prepare my brain and body to visualize the outcome that I want, I can do it. I can meditate on that and it'll help. So I did this, you guys. I had a month to prepare. I visualized it and meditated on the outcome that I wanted. Like the surgery is going to be really easy. It's going to be painless. I'm going to have a great doctor that's going to take care of me. I'm not going to have any effects. Like I'm going to have great effect when I wake up from the surgery. I'm just going to feel good and healthy, and I'm going to have somebody to take care of me. I'm going to feel, it's going to feel effortless. And everything that I pictured it from when I got into the operating room to like a week or two after. You guys, I had the easiest recovery. I remember my husband saying, how the heck is this? How are you not in pain after what you just went through? It's a private surgery. I don't want to disclose it, but it was a surgery that it would be crazy. It's a crazy surgery. Okay. It wasn't cosmetic. It wasn't like a nose job. It wasn't anything like that. Or lipo or anything. I didn't have a rib removed to make myself skinny. No butt implants, nothing like that, guys. Let's not think about this. So it was like other stuff. But, because of that, I remember playing it in my mind again. I was like, it's like my brain automatically, it's like I had prepared my brain when I went into surgery. I remember just thinking those thoughts automatically, and it happened.
Yes. And you know what? I did the same, actually. Last year, I got a surgery to remove my breast implants. I did that. And I also used meditation and Psyche. And it worked amazingly. Like because I've had
like recover from the surgery, you mean, to like go through the surgery and heal?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So same as you, I prepared, and I was like, I got breast surgeries 3 times, and this is like the easiest. And that was, I was like, okay, I should have done this like years ago, because this is like so easy,
Wow.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's awesome. People, I think visualization is not discussed enough. Like people don't realize that the mind is so powerful, in the sense that if you use your mind to visualize the outcome that you want, you're basically showing your subconscious mind, this is what I want. 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 And if whatever you focus on is what your subconscious, once you do it, is a lot of times your subconscious mind says, okay, this is important. She's always thinking about this. She feels really great when we need to make this happen somehow. How do we make this happen? And it will it's giving your subconscious mind instructions basically, right, Elodie? And so then your subconscious mind just takes over the healing process. Like, this is the way it's going to go, because this is the way we deserve to have our life, is to have a beautiful healing.
And when you add psyche to that, it's like too easy, it's like, okay, great.
It makes it effortless.
Exactly, effortless. That's the right word. Thank you. And I was thinking also of, the women that are planning their C-section, because it's okay. We're all different. We all have different opinions. Some women, whatever, we choose, different deliveries. So a C-section is a surgery that you can be afraid of, but you can prepare, because if that's what you want for different reason, you have your opinion, it's fine, then you can prepare before. So the after is like effortless, and you only have to worry or to take care about your newborn, not just like, oh, I'm going to heal fine or not. It was too painful, like whatever, like complication. No, you do not have to have complication. I actually just recorded a video yesterday about complication. Women, pregnant women tend to think that they need to think about all the complications that can happen to them. It is not true. For your own good, do not think about the complications that can happen to you.
I agree. Because what you focus on is what you create. So if you keep on thinking about, or you keep on listening to your friends' crazy stories, which, listen, it's fair. They had a very traumatic experience, so they do want to share it with you. I'm sure their intention is good. But once they share it, tell yourself that was their experience. Mine will be different. Mine will be painless. Mine will be calm and beautiful and effortless and peaceful, and separate yourself from their stuff and yours. And what I love about your stuff too, Elodie, and like just the work that you're doing, is that it's very proactive. So it's like, how do I prevent something bad from happening? In the pregnancy, how do I create a really beautiful experience and make it the most peaceful thing, so that my child has that childbirth that is very necessary and needed for him or her, and for myself, so that I'm really healthy and I'm not passing on anything to my child during the pregnancy and during the childbirth and labor and delivery.
Both. You're right.
For both. That's like, you guys don't understand how I want you guys to understand how important it is to be preventative, to be really proactive and say, I'm going to do these things. And it sounds like you guide people through. I mean, if you're working with them for 8 weeks, it sounds like you're helping them with tips on what to do during their pregnancy. Yeah. Yeah.
Also. Yeah. And this, I do it mainly with the meditation. And psyche, it's more like, okay, what's going to happen like in the future? So that's psyche and meditation during labor. Yes.
Love it. I love that. Oh, this is such a great service that you're providing, Elodie. Oh my gosh. And you guys, I am not just saying this because she's a psyche facilitator. This is a service that needs to be out there, because I have personally worked with women that came to me and they're like, my life's fucked up or whatever, right? I'm dealing like my marriage and my body and all this stuff. And when we trace it back, so many times it has been from a difficult pregnancy, difficult childbirth, difficult delivery. And I want you guys to prevent this from happening, because some of these women that I worked with, it wasn't pretty. The effects of it was really harmful, and their children suffered from it. So if you want your children to be born and live the way they're supposed to, which is just calm and connected to you and feel safe with you and the world,
and then also connected to themselves, just be themselves.
Exactly. Yeah. It helps them be okay with them, and then with you and mom and dad, and in the world, because they have to connect in 3 different ways, right? So this is such a valuable tool. I'm so excited that you're offering this.
I was just going to say, sorry, that it very like pained me that every time I talked about like my 2 very good deliveries, I always received the things like, oh, you're so brave, oh, you're so lucky, you're courageous, blah blah blah. And I'll hear like very like negative limiting beliefs about them, like these women, like they do not think that they are capable. And that pains me, I was like, no, like that's not okay. That is not okay.
what I'm hearing you say is that they thought, oh, you had that. That was just for you. You got lucky. Mine is
Yeah,
messed. Mine's going to be horrible. And they didn't think it was possible
exactly.
for them.
And if you think that, then guess what's going to happen? Well, you have lots of chance that it's going to be,
Yes. The same way, you guys, that you look at your friends and they tell you their horror stories and then you make that happen. Do the opposite. When someone tells you a great story about their pregnancy and their labor, please consider that it can be the same for you, right?
You're right.
It's the same. It's the same, but it's so interesting how instead what we'll do is we'll believe the negative, think that will happen for us, but not believe that the positive thing can happen for us. Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's true. You can just, if someone else has done it in a peaceful, calm way, it is available to you. You just have to decide and work on all this other stuff that's preventing you from thinking that you can't. And these are great modalities that will help you with that. So I'm so excited that you're doing this. I hope you guys got a lot of value from this episode. If you guys have any questions, like please, if you're watching this on YouTube, write a message below and tag me and Elodie. We'll respond to your messages. Elodie, are you on YouTube? But if you're not, let's get you on
Yes,
YouTube.
no, I am. I'm on
Okay,
YouTube.
great.
I'm on TikTok. I'm on Instagram.
I wanted to tell people that if they reach out to you, when they reach out to you and say that they want to work with you, if you guys tell them that I referred you, you guys get 10% off her services. So just let her know I'm coming from the Blooming podcast, or I heard you on her Instagram or whatever. I found you through Annabelle, and you guys get 10% off her services. So thank you so much, Elodie, for sharing that discount with them, because I think it's so valuable.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah. And so where can they find you? What is your Instagram handle?
So my Instagram is Perfect Pregnancy Mindset.
Love it.
Perfect Pregnancy Mindset. So I just want to say something really quick.
Please.
I actually just started again my Instagram account. So I have very low amount of followers, but it's okay. Just help me out and we will.
Yeah. It's because there was reasons why you had to switch over. Right. Yes. And it's not because like she's brand new and she's never worked with anybody, guys. It's because there was personal stuff behind it.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So go give her a follow, guys, just so we can help her out just with the follows, right? That's so helpful too, because people will judge you like, oh, she doesn't have a lot of followers. Maybe she's not very good. No, she's amazing. This work, you guys, if I have somebody on the show, it's because it's a service or product or whatever it is, whoever's on here, it's because it's something that it will help you in your healing or in changing your behavior or your emotions or your thoughts around life to get you the result that you actually want. And I really believe in her services. So Elodie, thanks so much for coming on. I think you gave us so much great information about this.
Thank you so much. I'm very much on a mission, to prove these women that they can have the delivery they want, no matter what people tell them. And I know you've had 3 children too, and you know what I'm talking about. And,
Yes. And you know what, Elodie, to piggyback off of that, I had really great labors and deliveries. Awesome. And I will tell you the reason why is because I always did visualizations before.
Oh, but did you know back then?
I didn't know that's what I was doing, but that's what now exactly. In hindsight, I realize that's what I've always been doing. And with my businesses and everything, I've always focused on the result that I want. And because I focus on it and I was able to remove any of the blocks that were preventing me from getting that always came true for me. And it's not a coincidence, guys. It's not like I'm just lucky and I have a body that just makes easy labor and delivery. No, I really think that if you want it and you believe you can have it and somebody can help you guide you to do the steps and tools, you can have it too. And sometimes we don't have that internal capacity and we need to hire somebody to help us do these things. So if I knew this was available to me and I was very scared of having a pregnancy or childbirth, I have friends that say, I'll never do it because I'm terrified of the pain. Yes. This is such a great thing if you know somebody, if you're listening to this and you know somebody that's going through it and they're really terrified, refer them to Elodie so they can find out some more tips. Her Instagram, she has great information on there too, but then work with her too.
Thank you.
Right. So much. All right. Thank you so much, Elodie. I can't wait for everybody to hear this podcast episode. This is so great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you everyone who's been listening to us. And I will talk to you guys soon.
Yes, you will. Yes, you will.